I've been in business for 8 years. 3 of my businesses I've even sold for more than 7 figures each. And in this video, I'm going to share all of my mistakes, all of my successes, all of my failures, and the main lessons that I have learned along the way. Lesson number 1 is accept that you don't know shit. When you're starting a business, you don't have any skills, you don't have any knowledge. Maybe you have some theory knowledge from the university, from the college. Maybe you had someone in your circle who had entrepreneurial experience, but in reality, you have zero experience, and you have to keep an open mind for the new information in order for that business to succeed. One of the biggest mistakes I see entrepreneurs making, and that's the same mistake I was making myself, is knowing that you know something and having your own opinion about something. If you're starting with a business, unless you had some experience in that specific business, you don't know anything. So you have to keep open mind for all of the new information that's coming in and apply that information. And only after applying that information, you can have your own opinion on that information. This is especially true if you're working with a mentor or someone giving you advice. The worst thing for a mentor or for a coach, for someone who's trying to help you, is to see that they give you advice and you have your own opinions about it. I'll do it my way. This is the worst thing that can happen. So never be that kind of student, never be that kind of person that never takes advice seriously and has their own opinions on it. It's okay to have your own opinions, but those opinions need to be based on data. And if you don't have that data, if you don't have that track record, then just keep an open mind, keep absorbing new information every single day, applying it in the real world, and only then, based on the information that you have applied and you have some data for, you can make decisions if that information is good or not. When I first started my business, I had a lot of limiting beliefs. Many things that I was thinking I knew, but those things were not even true because I learned them from the wrong people or wrong sources of information. I also didn't speak English, I didn't have any skills, and because of my limited understanding of the environment, of the industry, of the business, I was very tied to my old opinions. And then very quickly, I realized that what I knew wasn't shit. And after getting my ass kicked for a few times in business, I realized that I just have to open my mind and just consume new information from people that actually have done what I wanted to do instead of holding my own opinions on certain things. Great analogy for this is isolated communities. There's some in South America, there's some in Africa, where people live in their own circle. They don't have electricity, they don't have technology, they don't have smartphones, they don't have anything. And those people believe that the only way of living is the one that they have. So anyone who would try to come to them and bring some new information, bring some new technology, they probably just kill them. That is a great example of being closed-minded and just sticking to your beliefs that might not be serving you in the long term. You might satisfy your ego and be proud about yourself, but that won't help you to get rich. Or think about Kodak, very successful corporation in the 80s and in the 90s, but they thought they'd know everything. They thought, okay, so these film cameras, they'll be very successful. We are the best in the world at them. But they failed to see the innovation. They failed to see the world changing. And the way the world is changing right now with all of the technology, it's like either you are being open-minded to it and just like consuming information, consuming new technology, learning how to use that technology, or you'll be just left behind. Lesson number 2, use books as reflection, not as inspiration. What I mean by that is, in the business community, there's this perception that you have to read these 10 books about business to become good at business. That's not true. To become good at business, you have to actually practice business and you have to do some mistakes in business, and that's how you become good. For sure, you can learn some things from books, and some of these ideas in the books are amazing, but not all of those ideas are applicable to you specifically. For example, one of the books I read was from this guy called Steven Schwartzman. He's a CEO of Blackstone, one of the biggest private equity firms in the world, and he wrote in his book that you have to hire very smart people for your company. And as I was growing my business, we were getting good traction, we were getting good momentum, I decided I had to hire these very smart people, MBAs, people with 20, 30 years of experience, and I decided to hire very experienced person that turned out to be very bad decision because that person was operating business that was like 20 times bigger than ours. And that person simply didn't know how to operate the business on the level that our business was and couldn't contribute the exact knowledge. He didn't understand the industry. He was a little bit too old to just like quickly grasp new information. And that hire absolutely backfired. So I just took one piece of information out of the context of that specific person, out of the context of their business, out of the context of their experience, and I tried to apply it to our business. And that's what a lot of people do. They're trying to read the book and they take one idea out of the context and they try to apply that idea and it doesn't work. And they're like, wow, Why it's not working? It's not working because that book on that particular stage of your business is simply not applicable. So you can read books and you can get inspiration, you can get some motivation, you can learn about experience of different people, but at the end of the day, your story is your story. Your business is your business, and you have to see what's working for your business specifically. Lesson number 3 is always move to a better environment. This one probably is one of the most crucial out of all of these lessons that I have learned. I was born in Ukraine, and Ukraine is not the best environment to develop yourself, to build a business. There's some successful entrepreneurs in Ukraine for sure, but overall, as an average entrepreneur, it's very hard to start business in Ukraine. There's no payment processing, there's no access to technology, government is not very helpful in creating environment for businesses to thrive, so it wasn't the best environment. So we decided to move to Poland, which was a better environment for business because we wanted a better future for ourselves. But we didn't stop there. We moved few more countries in Europe, and then at the end of the day, we decided to move here to Miami. In terms of the business environment, connections, all of the things that you can get done here, Miami is one of the best spots in the world. Overall environment for growing business is so much better here. But at the same time, as we were moving countries, we were moving from one country to another, and each country would be better for our business, we also integrated ourselves into a better business community. We started networking with entrepreneurs that are on higher level than us, so we can learn about all of the mistakes that we can avoid when we get to the next level. You always have to move up the ladder. So you have to move from a smaller village to a bigger city, from a bigger city to even bigger city, from your country that might not be the best for business to a better country that has better conditions for your business to thrive. And a lot of people just like feeling attached to their home, to their family, so they don't want to take that leap of faith and relocate to another city, to another country, because they're afraid to lose what they have. Also, they don't like to start everything from scratch because in a new country, there could be a different language, there could be different living conditions, it could be more expensive to live, and they don't want to go through all of those challenges. But what I have personally experienced is that every time we would move to a more challenging environment for ourselves, it would push us to perform better. Every time we moved to a different countries, our business just doubled and tripled and quadrupled. And now it's more than 10x since we moved from Europe to Miami. Great analogy of this is PayPal Mafia. This is a group of people, including Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, some of the sharpest entrepreneurs on planet Earth, that were all congregating in the Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley at the time was a place where the sharpest entrepreneurs with access to capital were connecting with each other and building projects together. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all of these platforms have started more or less in the same place. And this is the power of environment, where all of the smartest people, resources, congregate together and where you can get access to all of these opportunities. One great question to ask yourself to see if you're in the right environment right now is whether you're the most successful person in your circle. When we lived with my wife in Poland, we were the most successful people in the area where we lived. Literally, no one was making more money than us. And for most people, that would just inflate their ego and make them very happy and like they would feel themselves like kings. For us, we felt like because we knew that we hit our ceiling in that particular space and we have to move up the ladder. So if you feel yourself like you're the most successful person in your circle right now, then you have to level up and integrate yourself into a more successful environment where you probably won't be the most successful, but you will start leveling up to the average level of people that's surrounding you. Lesson number 4, learn to sell products at premium price point. It's very hard to compete on price in business. If you're competing on price, there always will be someone who's selling the products or services cheaper. And then if you think about some of the most successful companies on planet Earth, like Apple, for example, they're selling their products at a premium price point where their products don't cost that much to build. For example, this iPhone here costs like $100, $200 to build, and they're selling it for $1,000. That helps them to make more profit so they can spend more on marketing, on customer acquisition, and also creates a perceived value of something premium. Like for example, if someone offered you a BMW for $1,000, brand new BMW, very nice car, would you buy it? You probably wouldn't because you're like, only $1,000? Like this car, it's worth a lot more. It's probably some kind of scam. So if you're selling your products at a very low price point, one of the things that people are thinking on the back of their head is like, why is it so cheap? Is there something like, did they cut corners or anything with this product or service to make it so cheap? So that's one of the things that people are thinking about, and that will automatically reject some of the best customers you can attract. Lesson number 5, if you want to build a great business, you have to understand who you're selling to, and you have to become a great marketer. Most people that are getting into the business, they're just copying competition. They see, oh, there's this person doing something, let me just copy. Let me just copy what they do, let me copy what they sell, let me copy every single element about their business. But they copy it without understanding why the product works in the first place, why the product sells in the first place, without truly understanding who is that person on the other side of the world or the other side of the screen, on the other side of, I don't know, if you're selling something in person, that's buying that product and why they're buying that product from you specifically. And then these same people that don't do enough research on their customers, who they're selling the product to, who don't try to differentiate from their competition, they're saying that products are saturated. And products are only saturated because their marketing is on a very surface level. They just copy something from other people without truly understanding what moves the needle, what gets people to just pull out their credit card and give them money. When I first started my business, I would just copy what other people were doing, and I would just copy it one-to-one, and then, I would sell products for some period of time. I would make, some sales, but then the products would eventually die, and I would be like, why they're dying? Oh yeah, probably the product is saturated, like I cannot sell this product anymore. And then I would see someone come in selling exactly the same product, and they would make tens of millions of dollars with exactly the same product that I thought was saturated. And at that point, it clicked for me that it's not about the product. It's not about product being saturated. It's how you market the product. And to become a great marketer, you have to do a lot of research on the problem that you're solving for your customer, who your customer really is. If you're selling, for example, to older people and you're a younger person, you have to really read a lot and understand why they're buying that product, what language they use to describe the problem that they're having, so you can communicate the message in a way that they will understand. This is the part where most entrepreneurs are trying to shortcut, and they're not doing enough job on understanding who they're selling the product to. Think about your market as an ocean, and that ocean, there's a lot of fish, and that fish is pretty much your customers that have money to pay for your product. And let's say you come in that ocean with a boat, with a very simple boat. You don't have a lot of fancy equipment. You just come in and you're trying to catch a fish in a random place. You don't even know what there is like a fish there at all. And you don't understand that fish. You don't understand the behavior of that fish, and you're trying to catch it. So you probably will catch, some fish here and there. But then if someone comes in with a more fancy boat with a lot of equipment in it, and they know exactly where the fish is congregating, they know exactly how to catch that fish, how to lure that fish, they know the behavior of that fish, that other boat will just catch a lot more fish than you, which in business terms means they will make a lot more money than you. And the same principle applies when you're using social media. Most people are using social media as consumers. They go on Instagram, they just scrolling. They go on TikTok, they're scrolling as consumers. They just watch the content, they entertain themselves, but they don't truly think about why that content works, why that ad works that sells so many products. And if you start thinking about that as a producer, not as a consumer, then you'll start becoming so much better as a marketer. Lesson number 6, don't be cheap on people. There's this misconception in the entrepreneurial world that you can just hire a bunch of VAs and they'll build your business for you. And I have not seen it happen. I don't know if it's just like not possible, because the only way that you can build a business that lasts if you have smart people on your team, and usually those people are not $2 per hour. Those people are not cheap. Those people cost money to hire. Those people also need to be managed. Those people need to be led. If you want to build a business that lasts for a long time, you can hire VAs to outsource some simpler tasks like answering customer support emails or just helping you with some random task, or you can hire a cleaning lady that will help and clean up your house. But you cannot expect people that are very low paid to build your business for you and also to buy back your time. In my experience, there's 2 types of people that you can hire. Number 1 is brain workers. These are people that can think, that can make their own decisions. If you have different departments in your business, they can lead a different department. Let's say it's a marketing department, or it's a customer support department, or it's a operations department, or it's a financial department. So those people are smart and they can manage other people. They can make their own decisions. They can innovate. They can improve processes. And on the other side, you have routine routine workers. These are people that will do exactly what you tell them, but they will not innovate. They will not bring some fresh ideas. They will not try to improve the process. They'll just do what you tell them to do. And you need both in your business, but you just have to align your expectations of what you will get out of these VAs. Some of my first hires that I ever did were some of these VAs, and I hired them and that I had very high expectations of them. I thought that, just tell them what to do and they'll do it, and they'll take a full ownership of the things they were supposed to do, and even more than that. And I would just sit back, relax, and just drink cocktails on the beach, right? And that didn't happen. And that didn't happen. And that was pretty painful experience for me, because I expected so much of these people, and for some reason that didn't perform. So I thought, everyone is bad. I cannot hire good people. And it took me years to realize that there is just different types of people. There's some people that will do a lot of stuff and even more than you expect from them. And there are some people that will just do what you tell them to do. And you still have to supervise them, and you still have to control, and you still have to give them feedback every day, because those people are just operating on that level. The way I think about it now is that there are people who will save you time, who will do some of these routine tasks, and there are people who will make you money, who will bring some of these innovations, who will learn some technology, who will improve processes and systems in your business, and those people you will have to pay a lot of money for. Lesson number 7, always look for a competitive advantage. Most people will just copy other people and what they do and how they do it, and then they would be wondering why it doesn't work. The way to think about it, if you're in a business, you're not in a vacuum, which means you're not just the only person selling a particular product or particular service. You have to consider the whole environment that you're operating in, and you have to find a way to beat your competition. In my specific industry, in e-commerce, I can beat my competition by having higher average order value, by having higher conversion rate, and by having higher LTV, which is lifetime value of each customer. When my competition is trying to make a profit on every single sale that they make, I can just lose money on the first transaction, because I know that on the second transaction, I will make money and I will beat them. So you have to evaluate the whole environment that you're in, who you're competing with, and what advantages you have versus they have. And when I started my first business, I didn't understand any of that. And I would be advertising against people that were just losing money on the front end because they had some other products to sell to the same customers. And I would be wondering why I cannot compete with them. My profit margins go to zero, and they're still advertising heavily, and they're spending a lot of money on ads. And over time, I've learned that they were just running at a loss on the front end because they had all of these other products, and they were selling to their existing customers on the phone, which made them a lot more profitable in the long term. Ideally, with your business, as it grows, you want to get to the point where you don't have to be profitable on the first transaction, because that business becomes very hard to compete with. Lesson number 8, cut distraction. There's a lot of noise on social media, on Twitter. It's who will win the election, and there's this candidate did this, and there's another candidate did that. At the end of the day, who cares who wins the election? Yes, maybe some things will be impacted for you as entrepreneur, or maybe the taxes will be a bit higher. But at the end of the day, you still have to sell your products. You still have to be profitable. You have to really understand your customer, and your customer is not politician. Also, other issues like politics, global warming, maybe some celebrity did something stupid. None of that stuff matters, because you have to take care of yourself, your family, and your business. You have to stay in your lane and stay focused on your business. In 2020, I firsthand experienced this. We just moved from Europe to Miami, and lockdown just hit, and everything is closed around us. So we're sitting at home, and I'm turning on TV, and they're scary reports, scary news, scary report. This person died. Something happened here. And then I would be consumed in that information. I would be watching news 4 or 5 hours a day, and my energy would get so low that I wouldn't even want to work on my business. Then at one point, I just decided enough is enough. I'm cutting all of this information. I'm just focusing on my business, because whatever happens there is something I cannot control at all. This is something that happens. I can't control that. I have to focus on something that I can fully control, which was my business and my family. There's this great concept which is called locus of control. And it's like a circle. And inside of this circle, you have things that you can control. And those are things like your thoughts, your actions, your decisions. There's things that you can influence to some degree, like other people's actions, other people's beliefs. You can try to convince people of certain things. But there's also many things that you cannot control at all. You cannot control the weather. weather, you cannot control the traffic, you cannot control the economy of the country that you live in, you cannot control the politics. Those are things you have zero control of. And the key to live a happy and also wealthy life is to focus on what you can fully control. Lesson number 9, leverage your time as much as humanly possible. When you're in business, you have so many different things on your plate. There's many things to take care about your business. Maybe you have some team members, you also have family, you also have some other commitments, maybe you have some community that you have to take care of. And some of those things have lower value than others. Like for example, you have to take your clothes to the dry cleaning, or you have to cook your food, or you have to just make a laundry, or you have to wash your dishes. Those things have very low value. And it's better if you outsource those things to other people and you pay them for their time, so you have more time for yourself to focus on things that produce more money. The simple exercise you can do to see what you can outsource is to calculate how much your time worth. So let's say you're in business and your business makes $100,000 per year in profit. Let's say you're working 50 weeks a year because you're taking some vacation and you're working 40 hours a week, which means on an average year you work 2,000 hours and you're making $100,000. That makes the value of your time $50 per hour. So if on a daily basis you are doing tasks that could cost $3, $5, $10 per hour, that's literally a waste of your time. And as my business started to grow, I realized that I was doing many things that were very low value. I was cleaning my own house and I was cooking my own food. So we decided with my wife to hire some people to get us help on those lower value tasks, so we had more time to do some higher value tasks. We immediately hired nannies, we hired the cleaning lady, we also ordering our food so we didn't have to cook it from scratch. Now you might be at the point in the business where you don't make a lot of money, so it doesn't make sense for you to outsource anything, but as your business starts to grow, like you have to look proactively about your time and where it goes and what are the things that you can outsource for a lower amount than your time actually worth, so you can be doing something more productive and pushing your business forward. Lesson number 10, buy others people experience. In business, you can either learn from your mistakes or from the mistakes of other people, and one of these is a lot cheaper and also a lot faster. You have to realize that whatever problem you're facing right now in your business, there's 99.9% chance that there's a person or maybe many people in the world that have already solved that problem and have the solution for you on a silver platter. You have to just find those people, pay them for their advice, pay them for their time, and you can solve that problem a lot faster than you could do by yourself. When my first e-commerce business just had the initial traction years ago, I started to have some problems with payment processing. And I tried searching for solutions on Facebook groups, I tried Googling it, I tried going on YouTube and finding solutions there, but I couldn't find the solution. And then through a friend of the friend, I found a guy who was literally facing exactly the same problems as I was facing, and he already had the solution for all of those problems. I paid the guy $3,000 for one phone call. That was just outside of my perception of how much one person's time could worth, but that investment paid for itself hundreds of times because I literally solved all of the problems that I had with that person on one phone call. He shared all of the connections with me, he shared all the solutions, he told me what not to do in the future to avoid problems like this, and from there on the problem was solved. And once that problem was solved, I was able to 4x my business in just 90 days. Many times when entrepreneurs facing problems, they think they're the only one facing those problems, or it's the end of the world that they have this problem, but it's not the case. Most of the problems, most of the challenges, most of the obstacles in the world have been already overcome by someone else. All you have to do is find that person, pay them for their advice, pay for the consulting, and solve that problem in a matter of days. Lesson 11, give more than you take, which means developing relationships that last for years. One thing in business I have realized is that you cannot succeed by yourself. You'll always need some other people's help in order to help you achieve your goals. And just one connection or one phone call can open so many doors for you. When meeting new people or developing relationships, you always have to think how you can serve that person. Maybe you can give some advice, maybe you can introduce them to someone who can help them with their problems or serve them in any other way. Before I moved to Miami in 2020, we came here with my wife in 2019. And when I came here, I wanted to organize like a small meetup of entrepreneurs just to exchange ideas, exchange what's working, and just wanted to meet some new people. And I organized a small meetup. I posted on Facebook. Probably like 3 or 4 people showed up. And one of those people that I have met at that event turned out to be my friend. And my friend was owner of another business in totally different industry, not competitive. We're not even doing like very similar things because he was in a totally different industry. But we developed relationship. We stay connected for many months and years, and we're still connected. We're still friends. In 2020, when my friend was running his company, he had to let go of quite a few people from his team because his business took a dive from the pandemic, and his business had to let go of some people. And some of the people that I have met through that initial interaction with the guy, because I just wanted to create some good environment. I wanted to chat with people. I wanted to serve them somehow, help them with anything I could. And some of those people are still on our team right now. 4 years later, they're top performers. They're amazing people. And I wouldn't have met them if not for this random message, random connection where I wanted to serve other people. One thing I want to add here is that when I organized this meetup, I was shy. My English was it was bad. Right now it's kind of like gotten better because I got more practice, but I didn't have good English. I didn't necessarily know how I could contribute to these other people's businesses. I had some expertise, I had some knowledge, but I didn't know exactly how. But I did it anyway. And so the lesson here is that you can be shy and you can be kind of like reserved, and some people label themselves introverts, but you still have to do it. You still have to connect to other people if you want to get access to new information, get some doors open for yourself, and also to help people in exchange. And that's how you develop these lifelong relationships with people that can help you to overcome any issues in life. And if I didn't do it, if I would be just like, oh, I'm introvert, I don't know, I don't want to meet other people, I'm shy, then I wouldn't be where I am today. Lesson number 12, other people's opinions don't matter. I can guarantee you that no matter what you do, you'll have critics and you'll have people that criticize you on every level of success. And there will be people around you that tell you that you shouldn't get into the business, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. But those people's opinions don't matter unless those people are paying your bills or those people are very close to you. But even if they're very close to you, it doesn't mean that that advice they give you is something that will serve you well. I remember when I worked on the factory and then I just decided to quit and start working on my own business, I didn't want to tell my parents because my parents would tell me like, oh, it's like you've never run a business. You don't know how to run a business. Like you shouldn't run a business and you don't know how to do it. There's so many unknown parts and there's a lot of risk to run a business and you probably shouldn't do it. So I decided not to tell them at all, right? Because I didn't want to face all of these conversations and try to explain why I wanted to do it. So I just said, yeah, I'm working in the factory. Everything is good. And I didn't tell them that I'm running a business until I was already a millionaire. I just decided not to get engaged in those kind of conversations because I just didn't want to waste time. And these are people that I love so much. These are my parents. I'm supporting them right now. I'm helping them with whatever I can. They just don't have entrepreneurial experience and they cannot contribute with that. They cannot help me with that. They cannot give me good advice with that because they've never run their own successful business to give me advice on what I should do. And I remember when I wanted to get into the business, I wanted to become a freelancer because I've heard that freelancers can make like $1,000-$2,000 per month. Back in Ukraine, for me, it was a big deal. I wanted to make $1,000-$2,000 per month as a freelancer. And I shared this idea with my friend. And my friend said like, oh, freelancer, it's so low level. You're just working for other people. It's so stupid. Like, don't do it. It's so good that I have not listened to him. I decided just to go for it. And throughout freelancing, I have met some of my clients who were in e-commerce, so I got familiar with e-commerce industry. And then one of my clients were in dropshipping industry. So I realized how easy it is to run a dropshipping business. And I saw all of the moving parts. I learned how to run ads. I learned how to run websites. I learned how to choose products to sell. So I learned all of the skill set that I needed. But that experience wouldn't happen if I would have just listened to my friend who said freelancing was stupid. And if you have bigger goals in life, you want to provide for yourself, you want to provide for your family, you want to have a freedom, financial freedom, location freedom, just freedom to do whatever you want to do, then you would just have to ignore these other people for some time. You would just like, all right, I appreciate your advice. thank you so much. And you don't argue with them. Just don't waste your energy. It's like, okay, cool. And you still do what you have to do. Still do what you have in your mind, because that's what really will move the needle for yourself. You might not find the solution right away. Maybe you started first e-commerce business and it doesn't work out. You start another business and it doesn't work out. But then if you keep trying, eventually something will hit. And once that thing hits, then you'll make so much money, then you'll be able to just like, hey, here is the money for you. Here is whatever for you. Like, just send them money, support them any way you can, but keep doing and keep sticking and keep listening to your heart. Lesson 13, speed is king. The speed of idea to execution is key. We live in a world where there is so many different ideas and so many different tools and so many different ways to grow the business, start a business, grow the business. But the only people who will be truly rich from using all of these resources are the people who learning these ideas, taking advantage of these tools and moving very fast. I recently met someone who was watching my YouTube channel, and I just had a conversation with them. I asked them, what is, how is it going? Are you in e-commerce? Are you running e-commerce business? Because, my YouTube channel is mostly about e-commerce. And this person told me that they haven't launched their e-commerce business. They're thinking about it. I'm like, okay, so how long you been thinking about that e-commerce business? And they're like, I've been thinking about that business for 3 years. And I'm like, okay. So something that literally takes like an afternoon to launch. Like, you can launch an e-commerce store with Shopify in like one afternoon. If you really wanted to, you're waiting for 3 years to launch that business. That kind of doesn't make sense. You have to move fast. You have to move a lot faster, because the faster you get something to the market, the faster market will tell you either they like it or not. And if they don't like it, it's okay. Let's tweak it. Let's fix it. Let's make it better in some way. Let's figure out why it wasn't working. But if you don't even bring it to the market, if that's just like an idea in your head, that will never make you money and you'll never be rich. And most businesses, as they grow, they become slower and slower. There is multiple decision makers. They have to get approval of this person and this person and this person, and only then they can do it. And one example of such company is Kodak. They were like very slow to innovate. They were like so successful, their film cameras, and they saw that that will last forever, that they just failed to innovate. And all of that decision making and slow kind of like thinking and overthinking, that led them to bankruptcy. You have to adapt to new technology, new tools, learn how to use AI, because AI will be transformational in years ahead. And the only people who get rich from AI are people who learn how to use it to their own advantage. The same applies to old school businesses. Before, businesses were relying on referrals or like yellow pages or some Google ads. And now there's social media. Like, now literally you can make almost any business successful using social media. So if you are not using social media in the marketing of your business, you're pretty much behind, because the businesses that are just adapting that technology and learning how to use it, they have an advantage because their marketing costs are cheaper. They can acquire a lot more customers a lot faster, and those businesses will win long term. And one of the reasons why people don't move fast enough is, in my experience, ego. They've been doing things in a certain way for a long time, and then they're like, there's new technology. Nah, it doesn't work for us. We've been doing it this way. We'll just continue doing it this way. Like, just continue doing the same thing that have been working for 20 years. But guess what? It doesn't work anymore. So make sure that your speed from idea to execution is fast. Lesson 14, people over systems. There's this big idea in a business where you can have systems in your business that are automated, that humans are not even necessary, and that system will work by itself and everything will be perfect. But guess what? If you bring in wrong people and you give them the best system possible, those people will it up. At the same time, if you have no systems or if you have poor systems, but you bring in amazing people, those people will fix your system and will turn it into an amazing system. One of the people that I mentor, 7-figure e-commerce entrepreneur, he came to me and he said, my business needs better system. And I said, you need a better talent, because he was doing everything by himself and he was trying to plug in all of these virtual assistants to manage the systems that he created, and those assistants would constantly up, and he would have to go in and fix everything for them, and then he would have to go back to the stuff that he was doing, and then they would up again, and then he would have to go again, and that cycle would repeat over and over again. Instead, I told him to hire a person who would be in charge of that specific department, who would be managing people and systems underneath them, and that solved his problem. Remember, great people will make systems great, and bad people will make great systems. Lesson 15, know the difference between A, B, and C players. C players are the people that you tell them to do something and they do it, and they still do some mistakes, and you have to give them feedback, and you have to fix stuff for them, and you have to constantly supervise them and micromanage them. These are C players. B players are the people that you tell them to do something and they'll do it pretty well, but they will not innovate, they will not bring some fresh ideas, they will not just try to make your existing systems better. And then there's A players. A players taking full ownership of the stuff that they do. They constantly learn and grow and develop their skills, so they become better the more you work with them. And A players, they go beyond what you tell them to do. You tell them to do something here, they'll do this, but also they'll do this, and they'll bring an idea on how you can improve this, this, and this. And the only way that you will build a successful long-term business is if you have A players on your team. But the good thing about having A players on your team is that A players usually like to work with other A players. So if you hire A player and that person makes some hiring decisions and they want to hire someone for their team, they'll try to bring some other A players to their team. So now your team exponentially becomes better and better. But if you let B player make some hiring decisions in your business, B player will usually bring B players or C players because they don't want to bring A players, because that will show their own deficiency. That will show that they hired the person that's even better than them, and they don't want to do that. They don't want to damage their ego. And one thing that I have learned is that one wrong hire can absolutely destroy your business. At the same time, one great hire, one A player can absolutely transform your business. And one of the ways to quickly understand whether the person is A player, B player, or C player is to work with them closely as they join your team. You want to have calls with them every single day so that they learn from you and they become better. Also, you want to make sure that they're not making the same mistake over and over again. If you're giving them some feedback on how to do certain things, and they say, yeah, okay, I got it. And then next day they do the same mistake, then probably that person is not a good fit because they're not learning fast enough for you to just buy back your time and save your time so you can focus on your part of the business. You would have to constantly manage and supervise them if you want to get decent quality work done. Another very important thing when it comes to hiring is that you want to hire people that you just enjoy being around and you enjoy spending time with them. And it's not something like, oh, I have to talk to this person again. If you feel this way about someone in your team, you have to fix it or just let them go, because that's not a productive environment. If you're dreading going back to the office, if you're dreading just going back and communicating with them, then that person does not belong on your team. And sometimes that can be because of you, because maybe you're not explaining good enough of what exactly you expect from them, or you're not communicating exactly the outcomes that you're looking for and not helping them to fulfill their own potential. So you have to realize what the problem actually is. Is that you who's the problem, or is that them who's the problem? And you have to remove ego out of this decision-making process. Which brings me to the lesson 16. Build yourself to build your business. Your business is only as good as your leadership. If you're not on a journey of becoming better every single day and constantly developing your skills and learning about how to lead other people and influence other people and help other people to achieve the common objectives of your business, then you probably are not a good leader yet. You have to lead by example. If you want your people to constantly grow and become better, you also have to constantly grow and become better. When I first tried to hire people, I didn't do it right. I hired the wrong people in the first place. I didn't train them properly. I didn't onboard them properly. I didn't manage them properly. And then those people I had to fire, and just, I didn't want to hire people at all. Because I'm like, everyone sucks. It's bad. I'd better just sit in my laptop and I'll just work 20 hours a day and I'll do whatever is necessary, but I don't want to deal with any people. And after having a lot of conversations with entrepreneurs, that's exactly where a lot of entrepreneurs are. They're so afraid to make a hiring mistake that they don't hire anyone at all. And for me, I started to work very long hours. I didn't want to hire anyone. I just would be sitting on my laptop and just working. And I got to the point of burnout. And when I had my burnout, I had this epiphany that everything that happened was my fault, that it wasn't the people that were the problem. I was the problem. I didn't lead them properly. I didn't hire them in the first place. I just rushed the hiring process. I just interviewed 2 people. I hired them on the spot, and I just wanted everything to happen too fast. I didn't do my homework, and I realized that I have to level up as a leader if I want to grow a company that is self-sustainable, that is not just dependent on me sitting on my laptop 24/7. And one way to think about it is that your team is a reflection of you. How good you are as a leader, how good you are as a professional, how good you are as a person will literally reflect how good your team is. So if you don't like your team, you probably don't like yourself too. And if they're not doing something or they have some certain attitude, there's a big chance that they're getting it from you. So before you fire anyone or even everyone on your team, just look yourself in the mirror and realize that maybe that is your fault, at least partially. And if that's your fault, that's a great thing because now you can work on fixing that. Lesson 17, choose the right life partner. This is one of the most important decisions you'll ever make because that person will be in your ear when you want to do anything. If you want to start a new project, you want to start a new business, you want to grow your business, you want to invest in your business, you want to make some other decisions, that person will be helping you to make decisions. And if that person is not on the same page with you, they will not be aligned in making those decisions and will not be supporting you through those decisions. And for a life partner, you have to choose someone who has similar values and similar objectives in life. If you read a biography by Arnold Schwarzenegger, he was telling us a story about his girlfriend that he had at some point in his career where he was growing and he was becoming a champion in bodybuilding. Then he wanted to get into acting. So he had all of these big ambitions for his life. And he had this girlfriend whose goal was to have a family, to live somewhere in a quiet area on the suburbs, have a car, and just live a quiet life. Like without big ambitions, without trying to achieve something extraordinary. That was her goal. His objective was to do something magnificent and just very, very like inspirational and do something big with his life. And her objective was to just live a quiet life. And they tried to maintain that relationship for many years. But unfortunately, that didn't work out because their values simply were not aligned. And from my conversations with a lot of entrepreneurs, their relationships are conflicting, which means partners have different goals in life. You know, one person wants to do this, another person wants to do that, and their goals are not necessarily pushing themselves in the same direction. And I believe couples can be a superpower when they're aligned. And if not, it's just a kryptonite. Lesson 18, you'll never have a perfect business. This idea that's spread on Instagram, on YouTube, that you can have a business and you can work from the beach and you can travel all the time and you can just enjoy your life and your business just works smoothly without any problems whatsoever. This idea is a myth because the more you want to grow your business, the more help you'll need from other people, the bigger of a team you will need, and probably the more problems you'll face in your business. The good thing is that as your business grows, you'll have some smart people on your team who can help you with solving some of the problems that arise. So you'll not have to do it all by yourself. But just one thing you have to realize that no matter what the revenue of your business, no matter what's the profit of your business, no matter what the scale of your business, there will be some ups and there will be some things that go wrong with your business and there will be some challenges you'll have to overcome. And it will never be like a perfect ideal scenario where you can just like go to the office and go home and everything is good. Sometimes you'll have to take calls late. Sometimes you'll have to work on the weekend. Sometimes you'll have to go in and fix problems even if you don't want to. And for me personally, when I first started my business, I read 4-Hour Workweek, this book by Tim Ferriss. And this book was, telling about how you can automate your business and make it pretty much passive. And then you can travel the world. And that was my expectation. That's the business that I wanted to build. And that book literally me up because I had this expectation that I'll just build a business and I'll be able to travel. I'll be able to just like live a little bit in this city, a little bit in this city, and kind of like semi-automated business. But then you realize that if you're building a business like this, and if you're not constantly pushing and innovating, there'll be your competition who may be selling similar products, similar service, who's innovating and pushing and wants to put you out of business. You can probably grow a small business like that will make, $10,000, $20,000, $50,000. But if you want to grow faster and if you want to grow farther than that, you'll have to fully commit to your business to make it successful long-term. Lesson 19, everybody feels like they don't know what they're doing. It doesn't matter if you're broke or you're a billionaire. Like there's certain things that you do on a day-to-day basis that make you uncomfortable. And especially if you want to take your business to the next level, you want to start some new projects, you want to take some risks, and it applies to everyone, even if you're on a high level of success. You also have to realize that everyone starts somewhere. Like no one has this perfect blueprint on how to build a business, how to grow it, because everyone's journey is different, and also everything in the world changes so fast that things that have worked 3 months ago, 6 months ago, 1 year ago are not working anymore. You have to accept this mentality that if you are starting with a business, it will be a journey that is filled with obstacles, with some challenges, with certain things that you'll have to overcome. But at the end of it, in 5, 10, 20 years from now, if you stick to it, you can build a life-changing wealth. And as long as you know exactly what you want, you'll find a way to make it happen. And if I was able to make it work starting as a factory worker back in Ukraine for $2 per hour, then you can do it too. So that was 8 years of business knowledge, experience, and lessons that I condensed in one video. And I wish I had watched the video like this when I was just starting my own journey. And if you want to see exactly how I scaled and grew an e-commerce business from $100,000 per month to over $1 million per month, then just click here and I'll see you on the other side.